Well, again, he only has so much power. He'd be locked down by Congress because the two parties, the really one party system of the Democrat Republicans would unite against him because he wouldn't be he wouldn't be on their payroll. I mean, it's really interesting that everyone who's ever watched, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, everyone fucking agrees that it's fucking corrupt. But everybody votes for the most evil fucks in, and they're like, yeah. And if there was a Mr. Smith, they would be like, fuck him, he doesn't have a chance. It's like a society of scumbags that back. Like, I don't even know why we arrest rapists and murderers. I don't even understand it. I don't know why do we do it. It's okay for other people to. They got money and they have a badge and they're elected to office to fuck people. So, but it's wrong for other people too. It's just it's bullshit. That's not the law. Why are people who are politicians not, why aren't they arrested? Nixon should have been in jail. Okay, LBJ should have been in jail. This is not everyone is equal in this country. It's not. And the thing is, the people are not even clamoring for equality. They're not. They're not clamoring for that kind of equality behind people with power. We haven't seen since the Civil Rights Movement people going against people with power. I liked the original Occupy movement when it started, when it was talking about economics and economic equality and how there was non-enforcement by the Treasury Department and how there was corruption there. And then it went into like, no, we need this social stuff. And then it was stupid. I was like, that's just dumb. And then it became like a bunch of fucking idiots. But they stopped talking about economics and equality and non-enforcement of laws because they had something there. I mean, the Civil Rights Movement dealt exactly with going, the Civil Rights Movement dealt exactly with, standing up to centers of power, and it then went straight into, how do we confront that and provide equality and enforcement of laws. That's what it was about. A right is not a right if it's not enforced. And they enforced these things. The Occupy movement just began, we're gonna occupy, but it lost its focus. And that's sad. And then you had all these forces going against it too.
Yeah, like I completely agree 100% in many ways. You know what I find it interesting that I never really bothered to try to message you more and more about these sort of issues, really, because it seems to be that both me and you are pretty much on the same page when it comes to politics.
I mean, I feel the United States is dead. The election is largely irrelevant. I believe that it's only there to vote for your conscience if you have a vote, and if my conscience says I don't have a candidate, then I'm not doing it. It's really that simple. And people will say you need to look at everything but that. They try to strip your individuality, and they come up with apologetics for it. It's just really disgusting that individuality is so rare. And when you figure that out, that few people have any, they're just automatons out there that are just being swayed by media, and they're just stupid fucks. And even all these people, and I see atheists, I have no respect for them because they're all just like, I go to sometimes my New Orleans Secular Humanist Association. They're smarter than a lot of the people that I run into, especially if I went to like Debate Faith or some stupid shit like that. Well, back when I did occasionally pop in there. It was just that, I just consider most people so fucking dumb that when you get into any kind of atheist groups, they're all like, man, fuck religion. And I mean, there's a rejection. There's this inherent rejection of philosophy. and wisdom, and most people are stupid. They're never even taught philosophy. They don't even know what it is. Like, most people don't know who Socrates is. They've never heard of him. They've never heard of Wittgenstein. Like, the majority of people, like 99% of people, haven't heard of Wittgenstein. What the fuck? Here's one of the smartest people in human history. Most people don't even understand, even atheists don't even understand what Darwin contributed. I contend that Darwin is the most important human being that ever lived. I put Socrates up there, but and a lot of the people in atheism, in these atheists, they don't even give a fuck about Darwin. They just talk about Galileo, and then they're pissy about it and like, fuck you. Even Dawkins is like that. It's a guy who champions Darwin, and he's like, Galileo is the greatest man that ever lived. Like, and you can't argue. It gets into like when Chomsky argues, which is Chomsky, when he argues, in the end, he just starts being a cunt. He's like, well, you're just a liar. And he doesn't back anything up. I mean, Spinoza's not read. I mean, and few people even have a good understanding of Nietzsche and what he was saying. A lot of people just read a little surface rhetoric and are like, okay, they don't get him and what he was really saying when he says God is dead. They don't understand the implications of his big arguments there. They don't understand beyond good and evil and where he's going beyond false dichotomies. They don't look at, like, people have contributed to where humanity can be better, but most people don't. It's not there, and it's not that it's irrelevant and they made it irrelevant. No, it is relevant, and if one person listens, I have made it relevant by keeping it alive in my life. Well, and that matters to me. And if other people, that doesn't mean it is irrelevant because other people do. And I really resent how a lot of people that I know who are really fucking intelligent, and I'm not going to go into naming names, but there's some people who I really admire, that they tell me it doesn't matter unless, other people respond. Like, their actions only matter if other people respond. Well, fuck other people. If you know what's right, then do it. And stop waiting on a majority or some other people to do it. No one has to hold your goddamn hand. It's fucking stupid. Like, when did we have to have, some kind of numerical, there's some magic number of people who sat there and followed us to make us do right? That's just silly. It's just illogical. And I understand people, they have all this false sense of hope, but all hope is waiting to do things tomorrow. It's an excuse not to realize what is and see it as is, so we can just be lost in the experiences of our hippocampus and our memory, and be well adjusted to the known, the ultimate form of conformity, and that's how it works, and bias and prejudice.
I myself, I'd heard Wittgenstein like referenced a couple of times by Ben Carruth. Never got around to reading it myself. I know Spinoza. I know some of the arguments that he's made. I've just never read him myself. And like, there are a couple of things I've read of Nietzsche, like the Antichrist and a few other things or whatever. But I haven't really gotten into too much depth really. And the whole implication of God is dead. I've never really understood the implication of it really. So I don't really go around and start touting, oh, God is dead, like a fucking mindless atheist or whatever. I've never done that before. But that was about it, But yeah.
Well, I mean, like Facebook atheism, YouTube atheism, and then, like, it was said by someone recently, there's on one of my threads on my pages on Facebook, Facebook psychiatry, where you've seen this in YouTube and other places, where people label people with mental illness and diagnose them from afar, like Romney. It's like Romney is like, look at the psychopath. Look at everything he's done. It's like he's this evil fuck. He's sociopathic. He has this disorder. He's a crazy person. It's like, what? Like they could take the same thing and say the same shit, and in fact they actually have about Obama. It's just stupid. But it misrepresents mental illness and so forth. But people don't want. It's like I said yesterday about Ann Coulter. Someone that I know was commenting about Ann Coulter, and Scouty 111 said about it, like, we need to get the facts and someone to really nail her down. And it's like, facts? What are you fucking talking about, Sue? The facts are she's a libertarian with Republican leanings. And that wasn't very profitable for her. And so years ago, she was a hot blonde, not an older, skinny, little bony blonde that she is now. And people like to look at her. And so Bill Maher had her on and became friends with her and dated her. And while he was doing that, politically incorrect, she transformed from this nice, bubbly blonde that she was, that talked about, other issues and libertarian ideals, to where she became under Bill Maher's command in creating the venomous Ann Coulter lack of empathy Republican, to exemplify it like a crumb cartoon, and exploiting people's hatred of one another. And I really find it interesting that happened. And I find it interesting in what Ann Coulter does. I kind of even admire her to an extent, in a way that she's almost played a game. I wish she'd write a book and like how I duped everyone and how everyone is stupid. But she's really just a sellout, I guess, Poe that made money off of everyone. It's very profitable what she did, because people love hate. They don't want to be nailed down. And the thing is, if she came out and told what she was, people would be like, just bring back your hateful bitch. This is boring. We don't want truth. We want entertainment. We want the show. And they want the show. They don't want to hear. They want to be play group versus group, because that's what we're evolved into. We're very, more localized tribal people. Okay, that's how we see. And we're not meant to deal with this modern world and the internet. We're not evolved and updated for it yet. So, Ann Coulter, like Scoot Saudi was saying, like, no one gives a shit. Everyone prefers hatred and fuck you, the Earth debate faith bullshit way. They don't give a fuck. Like, I quit talking to her, so like on Facebook. I was like, I'm done with you, because he just kept looking to make arguments with me. Like, he didn't even care what I said. He would just start telling me what my positions were. Like, the dude, he's so into arguing that he started arguing for the sake of arguing. It's like he needed to entertain himself. And that's like, you want to talk about madness. Like, the people now, they don't even need to argue with you. They'll just start telling other people, and that's what we do. We just label what other people are. And we love the show and the hate and the game of going back and forth and just punching each other. Everyone wants to be in a boxing match. And if Ann Coulter, no one wants to know what her real humanity is. No one gives a fuck, and neither does she. She's making money. She loves her ghost-written, plagiarized books. And people buy it. They don't give a fuck whether it's plagiarized, ghost-written shit. No one cares. Everyone just buys it anyway. Like, fuck them! It's like Facebook in written book form. Slop. It's like when Scouty put up another post saying, hey, like, reading is sexy. I'm like, depends on what you're reading, what your reading literacy is, and how much you contextually understand it.
Yeah, I just want to point out here that I usually make it a habit of not listening to people I don't like. That's kind of my policy. Like, if I don't like someone, and and I'm vehemently against their views and shit like that. Like I will not listen to them really. I just like, I mean, why should I listen to someone who like within 2 minutes of them talking, I'm just gonna pull my hair out in frustration. I mean, it's kind of one of the reasons why I haven't actively sought out what Ayn Rand has said, more or less. Like, I'll hear something that Ayn Rand has said, that people say that Ayn Rand has said. I'll look for the context of it to see if they're misconstruing it, and I found out that they're not misconstruing it, that they're actually like fucking, and it's mostly unflattering shit. Like the only person I've ever met that liked Ayn Rand was fucking Eagle Eye in 1975. That and what was it, Jacob Spinney on YouTube. But that was about it, really. But as far as and that's one of the reasons why I don't listen to Ann Coulter. I know she's doing what she does just to make fucking money, really. And the only way I would ever get to know her actual views if I was a part of her inner circle of friends, which I'm not. I don't know anyone like that. But to be honest, I don't like Ann Coulter mainly because of the fact that she's a fucking sellout cunt. She'd rather make money causing fucking controversy about views that she probably doesn't even hold, rather than stick to her own fucking morals. And but by the way, with the Ann Coulter thing, I just want to point out here, I'm not too sure if you remember this or if you know about this at all, but her publishers actually buy like a lot of her own fucking books, where she well, and that's how she actually gets on like the top, the top 10 list of most read books or some shit like that. And there's surveys that would actually kind of explain there, really. And because of that, I think Ann Coulter has kind of ran into fucking obscurity. I mean, I've only seen her. I've only seen her once in this entire fucking election. And that was only because I wasn't even searching for her. I'd only seen her. Her being interviewed on Fox News, when MoxNews.com, that channel decided to go ahead and mirror that little video of that, and I watched it and I thought, holy shit, she's still around. I thought she'd have fallen into obscurity because I never hear anything, because I haven't heard anything from her in the past like 4 years. I thought she was dead or some shit.
Well, the thing about Ann Coulter I want you to remember is that I should probably do a video called How Bill Maher Created Fox News. Because, come on, think about it. Like, Ann Coulter was one of the first ones that did with Rush Limbaugh back then. Rush Limbaugh, was. And then Ann Coulter and Bill Maher was inspired by making like a really, a blonde, hot, more attractive, because no one wants to look at big old fat ass ugly Rush Limbaugh with stupid rhetoric. But if you put it in a young blonde's body, everyone's like, look at that. Now she's getting older and less people are watching her. But that mentality is prevalent on Fox. Look at that. Look at what Fox did. They're like, let's just put a bunch of fucking evil bitches on fucking Fox News, and then we'll all, hey, It's like the Fox News mentality is based on what Bill say he created Fox News. That's their whole fucking gimmick. And then they'll have a few guys that do some commentaries that are just as hateful and sit there and act, and put us against them and be like, oh, this sanctimonious emotional appeals, Bill O'Reilly, Sean Hannity and so forth. They went overboard with Glenn Beck with that. And then they had to pull him because, he's just who's this old white dude who's saying all this shit. And we got to pull it back to the females again and get the demographics in, because no one wants just to hear a bunch of hate going that overboard. But hey, if we make it a bunch of hot young chicks that are saying it, everybody's gonna watch because no one gives a fuck. They'll just be looking at the sex appeal. So think of it in that way.
I really don't know the history of Bill Maher and how he created Fox News. Could you elaborate on that a bit? Sorry I cut you off there. I guess there's a bit of lag between us.
No, go ahead, Gail. I was going to change the subject if you guys were done, but this sounds like an interesting conversation, so go ahead.
Bill Maher has admitted shit going back to what he did with Ann Coulter. I've read about it and he's joked about it. He dated Ann Coulter. I mean, he dated and fucked her for a while. She's admitted and talked about her libertarian leanings. And if you go back, and I was watching Politically Correct when she started coming on there. I watched it from its own set. Back, Bill Maher tried to be in like some movies and stuff, and it didn't work. And he was back with one of the comics going way back. There were several comics. Johnny Carson in the 90s really pushed up. Those were like Jerry Seinfeld, Bill Maher, Roseanne Barr, Ellen DeGeneres, people like that. Jay Leno, he really pushed and was a big friend of David Letterman. All these people, and look, all of those people, what happened to them? They're all big fucking time. They became giants. All of Johnny's people. And he pushed a lot of comics. And Bill Maher went on and did it. Jerry Seinfeld got his show, Roseanne got her show, and Bill Maher's never really came out like that. He never wanted to do a comedy, so he did Politically Incorrect. And at first Ann Coulter was on, and then it went to being like. Then I remember when I first saw her, I'm like, what is she doing? Like, he always has this bitch on, and then it was like she became the evil one, and starting to. It was like the turn. I remember the turn in a show. And then she kept, it was like, this is working. Let's go even more. It's like with Keith Olbermann, when we first saw him on MSNBC, he was, there was one night where he just blew up and got angry. And and then of course everyone knows he started doing that like every show, and he would do his little routine. But originally he didn't have a routine. And they asked him to do more, and he said, look, if I did that, I'd be a sellout. And he actually stood up to him at first until they kept layering the money on and everything. And then he became an out-of-control monster doing that shit. And this arrogant fuck who's not even on current TV now. He just blew up. There's like he just started injecting he started drinking his own punch and drugs. It's just the fucking idiot. But Ann Coulter, really went far too. I mean, she just took this thing and people love it. People love this fuck you mentality. Bill Maher and Keith Olbermann was another guy who dated Ann Coulter. Okay, I mean, of all people, it was Keith Olbermann. He dated Laura Ingraham. He was seriously in love with Laura Ingraham. And Dinesh D'Souza, that scum fuck, the guy who does the 2016 Obama movie, and is the guy who debated Hitchens and everything else, and Dawkins, is a lying, no good piece of shit bastard. Like Ann Coulter and Laura Ingraham dated him too, and these are the kind of people, like, you got to watch guys like Bill Maher. And again, Bill Maher is a guy who said that being religious is a mental psychiatric disorder. He's gone about it being a neurological disorder that should be listed in the DSM. This is ridiculous. It's defamatory toward any person with a mental illness. It misunderstands mental illness. He's also taken shots at various things with chemicals to treat people with mental illness too. He gets into some Alex Jones shit. Even though I have major problems with pharmaceutical companies, he is not very reasonable in his arguments. I mean, he would lose in any debate. So, yeah, and he's admitted to creating stuff and promoting shit left versus right, and bragged about it. With the stuff with Coulter and what he did on Politically Incorrect and what he does on his current show, how he's gone through these things, and that's just what he does. He likes to play people against one another. That's what Bill Maher does.
What I find funny is that on every single Bill Maher YouTube video, you have I think like 20 comments saying "Get Cenk Uygur on Real Time with Bill Maher."
The thing about Cenk Uygur, I think he's okay. I like him to an extent. I can't stand Anna Kasparian. Here's a person who's for websites being destroyed if they say anything defamatory to anybody else. I mean, then we should censor Anna Kasparian and just take YouTube down, the entire site. Like, she's basically for FISA and all these other ones, all the ones that were and going back to January when they had the big Google blackout. She'd be for these things. I mean, Anna Kasparian from the Young Turks is a complete and utter fucking pig of a human being. I wouldn't mind her being like bricked. I didn't say stoned, bricked. She is a fucking cunt. She's a loudspeaker for radical feminist politics at times. She's an idiot. She doesn't know history. She's a selfish ass who bitches about how people, just like Rebecca Watson, and just a complete ignoramus. And when you beat her in an argument, she just goes right back to saying the same old shit. She doesn't give a fuck. I don't know why they have her own. She's just a tit with sticks. A stick with tits. Excuse me. I have no care for her. Even though Data Mott loves her and says he loves to jerk off to her.
Yeah, you see, anyone who decides that the Young Turk show should start engaging in like celebrity news, to me is obviously a part of the fucking problem when it comes down to like news media. I mean, it's like before election season and mostly during a lot of that shit. Like a lot of news is actually surrounded by celebrity news. The paparazzi and shit like that. You either have that or you either have irrelevant fucking bullshit. And anyone who and since she's doing that stuff and whatnot, she'll like participate in stuff with Sank, as he's doing news, and she'll stay on topic and she'll have like a lot of good points for that kind of stuff. But the moment she starts the moment I see something about celebrity news on there, I'm like, oh fuck, no, I'm not gonna watch that. Fuck you, bitch. But yeah, she is a part of the problem of the commercialization of our fucking media, and that's what I don't really like. But that's just my opinion, I guess you could say. As far as the views that you said, I had no idea that those were her views. And if she thinks that, and they haven't kicked her off the fucking show, then I think that's going to be the end of me watching Young Turks forever, because I'm not going to support them if they're not going to kick her off for expressing such retarded, idiotic fucking views. For being nothing but a fucking stick with tits that you said.
I'm surprised about the. I'll just say something short. I'm surprised with all the shows that they're making in parallel to the Young Turks. I'm very surprised that they've gone to create a pop celebrity news show before doing an international news show. That's really impressed me in a negative way.
Well, I kind of see her as Vanna White, and plus they want to do pop stuff to get into. You said they're doing a celebrity news show like and like Entertainment Tonight, I guess. That's what I'm thinking. It's going to be like a gossip people show, and I mean, if that's what they want to do, then what validity do they have? I really mean it. Like, they really don't have any. Like, all what they do right now is politically a gossip show. Am I right? I mean, look at what they do now. It's just political, like, oh, did you hear this shit? Like, I understand it. Occasionally, Shank will actually have it, but without Shank, what are they? Okay, what are they without him, Shank Uger? What do they actually have that's intelligent, that's not conformist and just apathetic bullshit entertainment crap?
Well, Ben Mankiewicz isn't bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, this whole thing kind of going back to the commercialization of our news media, it's kind of like how it's kind of like what Sharpie said. Well, news organizations are a fucking business or whatever. They should be able to pursue like ratings and profits, and I got on his ass about that. I told him, what the fuck are you talking about? You realize that the commercialization of our fucking news media is a part of the fucking problem? I mean, shit, fucking fuck. I mean, there's like 5 corporations that own like 90% of the media that you see on the internet. One of the bigger ones is Time Warner. The other one is something else. I can't remember what it was though. Fucking shit. But it's like one of the bigger ones. And they collude on what kind of news they're going to show, what kind of news they're not going to show. Kind of like how Fox News comes about it. So the commercialization of our internet. The commercialization of our news media, the commercialization. The corporate takeover of our news media, in public areas and public airwaves and whatnot. And the fact that this guy is a Keynesianist, the fact that he's not a free marketeer, he's not a libertarian, he's not even a Democrat. He's an independent. The fact that he supports the commercialization of our fucking news media just astounds me to no end. It's like, where the fuck is Keynes when you need him?
Dave Kohler was hilarious at the RNC. No, but he was like massively trolling the people he was interviewing. It was funny.
Simona, are you still here? Simona.
So if I can change the subject, I have in front of me some stuff that I have to get to for homework, but it's a project that might interest you guys. I was hoping to remember to talk about it when Andrew was around, but it's a for my graduation of for my community college science program. I have to do a kind of a comprehensive assessment project that kind of like is to show. You guys can hear me, right? Okay. That is to show, I guess, that we have an understanding of what we're studying in a greater context, like not just simply in the classroom, but in in a greater context, pretty much. And I'm, instead of doing this as a part in tandem with a teacher from one of my classes, I'm doing it for something that my school does, which is called SPACE. It's an abbreviation for Sciences Participating in Arts, Culture, and Education. And it's a kind of like movement to get people from different fields to come and give talks, kind of like TED Talks, to whoever is willing to come to these events. And so they'll have someone in philosophy, they'll have someone in the sciences, someone in the arts, etc. And at the end of the year, they have this kind of like bigger talk where they get someone who's like has a modicum of fame or whatever, of renownedness, and they have this fair where students kind of like showcase the projects that they do. So I'm doing a project in that, and it's I decided to take advantage of the whole reality that I'm an ex-art student and who dabbles in internet philosophy, and who's studying sciences right now. So I'm doing a multimedia project that'll be done at the end of the school year, and it's pretty much a hybrid project where I'm going to have a video component, which will be like my vlogs, and I'll probably be incorporating some of the old stuff that I did, but I'm going to be doing some stuff that's like dedicated to the project. And I'm also going to have like a third of it is going to be research papers. I'm going to gather some current scientific research on the subject, and the other part will be a visual component, which will be like a illustration. And that the topic is, because I want to go into neurosciences, it's going to be about sentience, the idea of the first person. Really, I guess where I'm coming from is that there's this kind of gap that we have where we know certain things about ourselves before the fact, like a priori, and throughout our studies, and we know some things a posteriori about the self in terms of the brain and neurons and stuff. And then there's another kind of method that we've gone to contemplating about the self, which is an elaboration upon our experiences, and that would be like philosophy. And I think that if we're to ever find, I guess, an honest understanding of these things, these things are going to have to meet. And at the moment, there's this kind of gulf, but I guess we're starting to build a bridge, and that's pretty much just what the project is about. Is just taking these three different takes on the topic of the self, and kind of showcasing I guess three areas coming together on, or just like being on the verge of being able to say something common. Go ahead.
Yeah, the self is a big thing with me, and how we look at the world. Getting into philosophy, looking at how, and philosophy, of course, for me, what is it supposed to do? Like in the very Nietzschean Wittgenstein sense, Krishnamurti or whatever. If it's not, what is it? If it's not doing anything to help you alive, and you're just having this textual bullshit there, like what is its relevance? And these things can impact your lives, meaningful philosophy. It's supposed to, in the Socratic sense as well. Where this has gone outside of the realm of people. People can understand, regular people should understand, and are capable of understanding these things, and can be helpful to their very lives. But getting into the self in the same way, our understanding of who we are, what we are, the evolution of self is just another in what I call like the cognitive evolutionary war, that goes along with the how our hands formed, how we are upright, and so did in the brain development of this thing of the self, and this process is what it is. But people don't recognize who we are. Again, I wanted to bring the conversation to everything we discussed, so we won't get too lost in going from science to this. I wanted to bring it together. I hope you don't mind. That humanity. It's like the art of war in Sun Tzu, which is the art of movement, really. It shows movement and looking at that, which is what neurally we are. Neurally, that's what humans do, okay? Motor neurons, it's either, sink or swim. It's move. That's all we do, really. And thought is internalized movements on a neuronal level. And then you have the empathy neurons, if you want to call them that. I don't really consider them empathy because they're more reflective neurons. I mean, if you want to talk about with sensory information. The empathy thing, I go to an extent with E.O. Wilson and Mark Navi, or whatever his name is. I kind of go with him there. But that's really where we're at. And so, but if you take a collective of social cognition, take it from localized, individual, not that everyone is an individual, most people are just broken up and fragmented, just like humanity is fragmented. And that's what my point is, that Humanity can't really do anything because it's not awake and it's not whole. And not that it needs some kind of conformist, but it doesn't realize what it is. It's not an awakened species, like of species that don't have the type of cognitive abilities we do. Are kind of locked into their minds in a different way. Humans are not, but we haven't reached a plateau to where we can really be intelligent of. And it's certainly not on a group level. This is understood. That's why we're so destructive. And that's why, over half of life on Earth will be killed in the 21st century, which is going to impact all of life, of human life on Earth. It's going, if you think like 3 centuries from now what this is going to do, we're going to have, people are saying there are going to be 30 million people dead by 2030. I don't know about that, but maybe 2050. But look at what it's going to be in a few centuries if humanity survives. And then the futurists are saying that technology will save us, which is this ludicrous. Cognitive development can. That's the only thing that will do anything. But overpopulation will be a problem anyway. But still, we don't realize what we are. In Art of War, you have to understand yourself, your environment, and your enemy/objective. Okay? That's really what it is, not just the enemy. No, I didn't say I don't think humanity will survive in the next 30 years. I'm saying that humanity's long-term future over the next several centuries will be very bleak. That's what I'm saying. It's bleak when you're killing off half of life on Earth in the 21st century. Okay? That's what we live in a symbiotic state with other species. If you went and killed off insects, humanity will be dead this year. We're not even going to survive to the end of the year. All humans would die. We don't, there's a certain way nature works that give us life, so much oxygen and everything to breathe. And if people don't understand this. They think it's just prevalent. We can do anything we want. That's not how it works. If you shit in your fucking house and make it destructive, you can't live there. So, but again, about going back to how motor neurons and social cognition, and taking it just as an individual, most people are very broken up and unintelligent, very confused. They have to have therapists and all kinds of problems. A lot of them drink and die. If you look at a lot of people's lives, if you go through 100 people, it'd be like, wow, man, these people went through a lot of fucked up stuff. Like this is not people that are working. This is not healthy. And a lot of people are not healthy. They're just not. Humanity has great abilities, but it also has great faults. We don't recognize our faults. So again, we don't know who we are on a neurological, evolutionary level. We don't understand what we are, or even how our brains work to a massive extent. We don't understand how we work socially within that context and how evolution works. It's still under debate and discussion, and in the most silly manner with people like Dawkins, who I'm not even going to go there with his silliness. A guy who hasn't written a science paper in pretty much like 20 years, fucking idiot, and then goes around as a braggadoor of science when there are other people who do much better. And then, of course, he's like a rock star now, but, we don't need rock stars. We need people who actually speak truth and want to have discussion, not know-it-alls who don't even add to the discussion and go around fucking everyone else to promote themselves. But again, we don't know ourselves. We don't know our environment, which we're a part of and linked to, and we don't know our objective and what our enemy is, which is ourselves. The enemy has turned out to be us, and being ignorant and not knowing. That's the real enemy in the art of war. Not knowing and implementing and taking action in the correct manner leads to death. And we've broken every law of the rules of war of Sun Tzu. Everything, which match up, in my estimation, very much with how movement-oriented in the brain is on a neuronal level. A foolish species doing foolish things. So.
Yeah, I'm very interested on the very, I guess, basic nature of consciousness, which we were ignorant of at the moment. I wonder if some people say that consciousness is only possible through whatever we're made of in order to make it. The kind of people that think that there's no configuration that you make for like a kind of like a silicone computer or a non-biological computer that would emulate the same kind of thing. But just the very, I guess, potential for matter to be put together in a certain way so that it would become awake or aware or like wake up from some kind of slumber, and you know, through extents. I mean, there are people that that, you know, because like you said, because certain connections aren't available for them, they're aware in some way, but they can't get certain awarenesses across in another. It kind of, I mean, this is absurd speculation, but like it kind of makes me wonder to what's the basic unit there. I mean, I wonder if existence itself is I guess the basic unit of consciousness, except it's worthless consciousness, because you're not a piece of bread isn't aware of anything. It's not connected to a neuron. It doesn't have sensory perception. There's this kind of I mean, hypothetically, it could have some kind of first-person viewpoint, but it's completely ignorant of that viewpoint until you bring in all these connections, and for this method of information actually being passed forth and to be understood.
One of the problems, like you take vegans, okay, they'll have this big argument. Well, it has a brain, it has a consciousness, and we shouldn't kill those things. Life works in various different ways, and just because something has a nervous system doesn't mean it has a nervous system like we do. And humans project it does have that, but they don't give the same respect to life. You know, think of this. We give personhood rights to corporations, to groups of people. They're operating in with massive powers and money, and say that's the equal of one person, which is silly. If you look, I mean, a group dynamics and one person individual dynamics are completely different, and financially too, for what it can be done. Anyone who says otherwise is an imbecile. But of course, you know, society holds up imbeciles.
Yeah.
And then, but we don't allow any kind of personhood to, say, various chimpanzees or tortoises for their intelligence. They're just life. They can be slaughtered, and other things. It's like there was on this island, they have all the turtles come out. They have these births, and people come from all over the world to see it. And on that island, they had a construction thing where they didn't know where to go, so they just killed them all. They just killed like 30,000 fucking turtles and their eggs, and they saw them all hatched, and they just died because they smashed all of the eggs, and they came out, the ones that were still alive, and they died. And we're like, oh, whatever. So like if I killed 30,000 people, I think people would be upset. If I killed 30,000 other times of Lorf, no one gives a fuck. It's really amazing how stupid people are, even if that life impacts human beings are silly. Well, if I oppose an opposing group of people that people feel threatened by, then they'll be like, well, that's justified. I think human beings are so easily swayed. Like when I hear arguments against Muslims and like the Middle East and those Near Eastern people, I hear a lot of arguments against people over there, and these were lately these like riots and protests or whatever. Like kill the blasphemers. Like people are easily swayed in the U.S. Okay, I mean there's not much. There's no any like cognitive difference from between these people and those. That these arguments are ridiculous. We're all human beings, and we're all easily swayed by these things. Well, at least most people are. There is a difference in intelligence between people, but overall, most people can. You know, where are we cognitively right now in the 21st century, and how are we that different? There are different levels. I mean, certain people have a better memory systems and other things like that, and certain people have deficiencies in that. I know that I have, extraordinary memory, however, and visualization. And I know all other people who have, well, they can't remember what happened earlier in the day, and they're dumb as fuck. And I have always felt like, ostracized from other people, always, since I was a little child, because I always thought everyone was just dumb, and they always didn't like me because I was. I've had so many arguments against being an intellectual or anything. It's like, well, you think you know everything, and I'm like, would you? And I say to people like that, would you tell someone who is like retarded or mentally deficient? Would you be like, oh, you just don't know everything. You're stupid. You're a dumbass. And they tell people who are smarter, hey, you just think you know everything, and you just probably have a better brain, so fuck you. I think people I think it's a form of thought to hate another person, to feel better. It's like a defense mechanism to coping. But I wanted to add that in. I know you probably have some other stuff to say.
Yeah, before when you touched upon corporation and that kind of super personhood, I've always been fascinated at the at how what's the word? I guess synchronicity, or what do people call it? Whatever, the ability for small parts for things to transcend the sum of their parts when they're working together. It kind of blows me away at how that breaks down on a super big level in terms of human beings. I mean, I'm sure if you take if you take an individual, a person, like I guess with average intelligence, and of I don't know, whatever, and you give them a bunch of moral decisions or whatever, I think they would be rather capable. Except when you put you look at a corporation or something, and I've heard of this statistical model, and I haven't looked at it too in depth, but the idea is that when criminals are organizing to do I guess like a super crime, the more people involved in the plan, the lower the success rate. And you look at a corporation and you just see, I mean, even if from the perspective of someone who's selfish and someone who wants to continue to survive or something, you take one person who's very evil but has average intelligence, and you look at, you kind of pull out and look at a corporation's tactics, and you just see that it's just so much more dumb than a single human being if you look at it as a person. And it's self-destructive, and it just destroys everything around it. And it's and I don't know. I can see it as about intelligent as like a badly written computer program or something, and that's kind of what really has bugged me. You look at a room of 10 people, and one guy takes all the food in the fridge and says, "This is mine," and like, if you want any of it, you have to bow down to me. I mean, like, the 9 other people are going to get together and beat the guy up, and they're going to take the food back. But look, you have a country of 300 million people, and it's this whole ordeal to get 10,000 times the amount of people to gang up and take the resources back from such a small percentage, and it's something that baffles me.
Yeah, I like that corporation. That's really good. You mentioned the self earlier. I just wanted to go in because I know that's a big thing. Studying that, he's also been studying Wittgenstein lately, and hold on one second. I'll be right back. Where was I? I forgot.
You're saying something about the self.
Hello?
Yeah. And then you mentioned Wittgenstein, which I've only started reading the Tractatus Logico Philosophicus because it was recommended by one of my humanities teachers. If we wanted to be and if we want to indulge in the fact that we're more courageous than most people in terms of complicated reading material. Another thing that he suggested was Moby Dick, which I also got and am starting to read.
Um, be right back if you can hear me. I'm having some trouble real quick. I'll be right back.
Sure.
I have to refresh.
Yeah. Testing, testing. Hello, hello.
If you're wondering, yes, I can hear you, and yes, I'm still here. I'm just currently kind of going over this page right now, over some good stuff to mirror on mine, and then I'm finding a lot of good stuff here. I love it.
Okay. Yeah, I would have actually left by now to work on my project because I'm in the kind of draft stage where I have to make like mind maps and how I'm going to pull this together and kind of orient myself to get the right information and from the right people and where. But since we're talking about, this is an opportunity for us to talk about the subject itself, I think just still be sticking around and having and talking about this will is good for my state of mind before going into that process. I'll be back as well. Oh, he left again.
You know what? One of the interesting things about this whole voter thing and this whole voter registration